Hey UFC fans, I'm covering UFC 155, Todd Duffee taking on Philipp DeFries. And Todd Duffee, I thought he was never going to come back. Isn't that what Dana White said? I think Dana White's word is pretty lame these days. I think we all know that. And he's back. So he just came off a win. I think I saw it on YouTube or something, versus Neil Grove in the Super Fight League, and he knocked him out in 30 seconds. And although he didn't do well against Alistair Overeem when they fought in K1, and he was knocked out in 19 seconds, he put up two interesting fights. Both fights didn't even go for a minute altogether, so that's pretty cool. Taking all those planes and doing all that training and not even, imagine banging two girls and both of times were in a minute. It's just interesting. So he lost to Mike Russow, who's fat but pretty tough. And after that, he was done with the UFC. Dana kicked him out. Had a win over Tim Hague and also beat Asuero Silva before he entered UFC back in Jungle Fight. So I think that Todd Duffee's pretty good. I forgive him for being knocked out in 19 seconds. Obviously, he's a heavyweight. These guys have so much power. And he came back right away to defeat Neil Grove. And he's fighting Philipp DeFries, who has 8 submissions, 9 wins, 1 loss, been knocked out once, but 8 submissions, no knockouts. And he's a pretty tricky fighter for a heavyweight. I mean, think about it. All his wins are by submission, and most of these heavyweights win their fights by knockout. So he's a different kind of heavyweight, Nogueira used to get a lot of submissions. But Philipp DeFries, he's 6'4", and he's big, just like Todd Duffee. So if this fight doesn't end quickly, it's just going to go more and more into the favor of Philipp. And Philipp, if the fight gets on the ground, it's going to be Philipp's fight. Now, keep in mind that both these guys do burn out rather quickly. They are heavyweights, and most of their fights haven't went to decision. Like, only one time did Philipp DeFries go to decision, and that was versus Rob Broughton. And that's the only time in his entire career that he ever went to a decision. That was back at UFC 138. So, for the most part, it doesn't go to decision. And Todd Duffee, never been to decision. 7 knockouts. All his fights either ended by knockout or he was knocked out. So I'm expecting a pretty cool fight here. The beginning of the fight, I think, would be more Todd Duffee's fight. Later on to the fight, it might be more Philipp DeFries' fight. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark right here. I think that Philipp DeFries pulls off the victory by submission in the later rounds. And Todd Duffee gets submitted in this fight. Let me know what you think, guys. If you think that Todd Duffee is just too tough for him and that he's just going to derail Philipp, let me know. I could be wrong on this one. And if I am, I'm sorry. But that's just my hunch. I'm not betting on this fight. I really don't know these guys well enough to make a real clear bet. But I'm down to watch the fight. And if I were to bet, I would bet that this fight does not go to decision. Because it's just not going to decision. Anyway, my guess, Philipp DeFries, submission, round 2 or 3. Probably round 2.